Breaking news, the Attorney General Pam Bondi has just released the rules associated with the promised restoration of Second Amendment rights to non-violent felons. Specifically, the United States Department of Justice has just published its proposed rules to grant relief to certain individuals who are otherwise precluded from possessing firearms under federal gun control law, 18 U.S.C. 922G. We're going to break down this huge news, which I predicted several months ago, and here it is when we come right back. All right, this is fantastic, huge news. Friday afternoon, Attorney General Pam Bondi has just released proposed rules with a statement as to how they intend to restore the Second Amendment rights of likely millions of Americans. They're going to do this administratively, which is what I explained was going to happen when they decided, meaning the administration decided not to seek cert in that Third Circuit ruling of Brian Range versus the United States versus Merrick Garland. As you may recall, under federal law, there's a list of prohibited people that are not allowed to possess firearms. That is listed in federal gun control law 18 U.S.C. 922G. However, there has been a series of litigations that have been ongoing challenging whether or not the so-called Martha Stewart issue, which is non-violent people who have been convicted of quote-unquote felonies as defined by federal law, whether or not they can be disarmed for the rest of their lives, consistent with the Second Amendment's right to keep and bear arms. There have been some major victories which I've covered on this channel. For example, in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals out of New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania, in a powerful decision written by Judge Thomas Hardiman, the chief judge there, en banc decision by the Third Circuit in the case of Brian Range versus Merrick Garland. They explained that there are instances where nonviolent felons cannot be disarmed for the rest of their lives, consistent with the Second Amendment. This is also consistent with the Supreme Court precedent, which I explained to you at the time, and a lot of people said, no, Mark, you're wrong. I said, no, you're wrong. And that is that the United States Supreme Court decision in the Rahimi case in 2024 was actually good for the Second Amendment because in addition to reaffirming the Bruin methodology, it also reaffirmed the notion that the only way you can be disarmed for life, or disarmed I should say, is if you are found to be a violent danger to others. You are found to have been a violent danger to others by a court after a process. And even under those circumstances, you can only be disarmed temporarily. That was what the Rahimi case said. A lot of people were upset with me, and I said, nope, you watch. It's all going to work out. And it has just worked out right here, right now, because Attorney General Pam Bondi has just used the Rahimi precedent and the Third Circuit precedent arranged to issue these rules where they basically indicate they're going to restore the rights of likely millions of Americans who are otherwise not able to possess firearms, and they're going to restore this right through this administration.